All right. Good afternoon, Bambi. We're live. We did it. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
I am Dustin DeStefano. I'm the CEO and co-founder of A Place at Home franchise and A Place at Home Senior Care. And I'm here with Bambi Creek, owner of A Place at Home Pueblo, Colorado franchise. And we are going to be doing a franchise. We've been doing franchisee spotlights internally the last couple of months. This is our first external, so no pressure, Bambi. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
And the reason we're doing it externally to go live is we're finding that a lot of owners found value in it, and hopefully we can help enough people in this industry learn, and even entrepreneurs who aren't in this industry, learn what a franchise is. Also learn, small business, and learn how what growing pains are. So quick background on you. You're an RN of how many years?
41.
41 years. You had 3
41.
years hospice, 8 years home health. You bought
about 18. Yeah, about 18 years home health.
18 years home. Were you in the hospital too?
Worked in psychiatric and corrections. That's where a lot of my career was. I retired from there.
Corrections. I forgot about that.
Yep.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Yeah. I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. I bet you have some stories, but we're not here to talk about those stories today. We're here to talk about your entrepreneurial spirit. We're going to talk offline about those prison stories. You didn't meet your husband there, did you?
No. He always tells everybody I met him at the state hospital, but that.
There you go. All right. Well, let's jump right in. So I'm going to I got 5 questions we're going to talk through and talk about. Your background, you're an RN. You're an entrepreneur as well. You own some buildings now. You are all over the place, getting good deals. And you're almost done with your full year 2. I think you got like 4 or 5 months left till your year 2. When did you open? February, right?
February is when we first,
February 23. So you'll be 2 years. You came out of the gates, did your first year, nailed it, had a lot of growing pains, ran it with you and your daughter, and then got to about $400,000 in revenue in 1 year, which is really good for in a competitive field like home care to just jump out of the gate like that. Then you hit year 2 and you're still on track to do a 30%, but that you've had some growing pains, and we're going to talk about that. But I want to go back to the very, very beginning. All right. So my first question is, Bambi, can you start by sharing a bit about your background and what led you to choose a Place at Home franchise in home care as your business venture?
Certainly. So as we mentioned earlier, I've been in the nursing field for 41 years, have continued my education. I was working on my doctorate in nursing, and we had a real unfortunate event in that my dad was diagnosed with dementia, Alzheimer's, and my dad was this real big, powerful man, just an incredible person. And it really changed the dynamic in our family. He was a large and in charge kind of guy. And so we started having to get some assistance because the stress of caring for my dad, I believe, and my brother does too. There's just the two, my brother and I. We believe that my mom stopped caring for herself and looking after her own needs. And my mom was diagnosed then with cancer and died. And 6 weeks later, my dad died. And so that was in 2021. And it was an it was just a life-altering time in our life. And during the time that my mom was receiving treatment, we moved my dad into my house, and he was a bit of a challenge with the symptoms of his diagnosis. Dementia, just completely, as most people who have worked with anybody with dementia, it just completely robbed not only him of himself, but it robbed him of us too. So we were left with dealing with a person that we really didn't know. So we started looking at, I was still working full time. I was working in hospice at the time, and we started looking at home care services for for my dad, I also have another family member who lives with me who also is unfortunately diagnosed with the same dementia. And so we had folks coming into our house, and it was just, it was really difficult, going through the grieving process of, losing my dad before we lost my dad. And then, trying to deal with my mom's rapid decline and then losing both of them so close. It was really difficult navigating that. And there was a lot of emotions, a lot of anxiety, and me being in the medical field.
Sorry.
I was getting folks that, we were getting folks, caregivers, and that we had just some things that with a company that we had gone through that we didn't really care for, some people that we didn't feel were screened very well. And some people, and many of them didn't know how to deal with, especially the level of dementia that my dad had. So, after they passed away, my parents were very good with money, and they, I was trying to figure out how we were going to manage our portion of the inheritance. And I had a financial advisor advise us that we look at, going into business. And so I started talking to my kids about it, since I really wanted this to be like a generational inheritance. And they actually were the ones that came up with, let's do something in healthcare. We know there are always going to be need in healthcare, and you're kind of the expert in it. My master's in nursing is healthcare administration. And so we started looking around and decided that, there was a hole in our area that needed fixed. And so we would look at home care, and I started calling all the top brands and looking and doing my homework. And I just didn't feel, I knew that I wanted to do a franchise, because frankly, I didn't want to write all those policies. I had done policies. Yeah. Oh, I know. I had done policies my entire career, and I was just like, just seemed undaunting, especially with everything that we had gone through. And so, so I started calling around and got in touch with Mitch Benson, and he was the only one out of all of the franchises that I talked to. I talked about 4 of them that would, one, return my phone call. We didn't get any, a lot of people, I felt like I was just a number. And then I was like, okay, what about our personality? Pueblo's a little bit different than maybe somewhere else. What about our personality? What can I bring to the table in regards to that? And again, it was, A Place at Home was the only one that said, you're the business owner. We have certain guidelines that we go by as a franchise, but you're the business owner, and you're accountable to the state, and you're accountable to your clients. And so, we will honor your wishes. And where other ones are saying, nope, we have a model, we're going to go by the model. You can't deviate from that. And that just didn't feel right, because not every place is the same. So we decided that we'd really look further into A Place at Home, and we couldn't have been happier. The culture was just far superior to some of the other franchises. And I give it to Dustin, I give it to you and Jerry, that you really do support your owners. Your heart is in the right place. We always talk about our why, and our why is really important. It's the reason that I'm here, is because I want to honor my parents. And so, and you guys have your whys, and it shows that it's not just a business, it's a passion. So that's something that was important to me. I have three daughters. All 3 of my daughters are employed through the business, and one of my nephews. So I feel that is really honoring my parents and all their hard work, and by having 4 of their 5 grandkids are employed and running a successful business. with their hard earnings. So, and we've had just a tremendous amount of support from you, all the coaches. Danny is just incredible. Oh my gosh.
She's in Denver right now.
I know she is.
Up for an award for, what is it, the Operations Rockstar through the Franchise Business Review.
Yep.
Yeah.
And anybody who knows a nurse knows that they stay very, very busy all the time. And so Danny, her position, Mitch, kind of, once we signed our FDD, Mitch moved us on to Danny, and Danny kept me on task. And I really needed that. Otherwise I could not have done it. She had goals for me every, what next week we're going to meet. You need to have this and this and this done. And she basically took the thought process out of it for me, and just said, go this way and go this way and do these. And, when I get stuck, and she'd figure it out just immediately. So I went from, the wonderful, loving hands of Mitch. It was sent over to the loving hands of Danny, the very knowledgeable hands of Danny, and then on to Aubrey, who was just, because I was still dealing with grief at the time too. And so Aubrey was perfect for me at that point. So, yeah, it's been an incredible experience, I have to say.
Well, you mentioned Mitch. I'm going to recap some things here. You mentioned Mitch, and he has a little message for you. Can you see that there? There's Mitch Franchise.
Yeah. I don't know much about Bambi, but Danny, yeah, I totally agree.
Ball of energy. Me and him match each other. Well, actually, he's more than me for sure. I'm getting old. He's still young. I turned 41 last Friday, so I'm tired. I'm going to go off your guys' energy now.
So I've been nursing as long as you've been alive.
Don't age yourself, Bam. You look great. I love the hair. Awesome. Hairdo. So, one thing that you mentioned, I didn't realize. I knew you got an inheritance, but you would say that this business is in the name of your parents who passed away, and was your why for getting into this. So what a cool tribute.
So my parents' initials are L, Larry, Pat, Stacy. So it's LPS Legacies Enterprises is the name of the and then the DBA is a place at home. So it's the name of the entity. So this is truly a legacy.
That's awesome. And both your daughters are working there. It started with Caitlin, right? And she's been with you in the beginning. And I completely apologize. I should have studied. What's your second daughter's name?
Shiloh is actually Kaylin's twin sister, and she's actually working as a caregiver. And she's putting herself through school, working as a caregiver.
Now, one thing I do remember about your second or your twin, is she the second? Who's the second? Who would say?
Second, yeah, Kaylin's the oldest.
She was a taxidermist, right?
She's a taxidermist, and shout out to Shiloh. She passed her mortuary licensure today. So just this morning. So, man,
I would love to. Actually, you know what? I should interview her about how she got into taxidermy. When I think taxidermy, I think of Psycho. What's his name? What's the guy's name? This is probably not a good comparison to make to your daughter, and I apologize. But Alfred Hitchcock's movie, right?
Yeah,
with the guy. Yeah. I don't remember. Someone in the comments can correct me who that was. But that was the creepiest thing.
I think I finally got her convinced that rabies is too big of an issue. Please don't pick up dead animals off the road.
Man.
Because she's always doing that. So
that's awesome. I do remember that about her. Yeah. That's awesome.
And then Acacia, my youngest, she has done phenomenal. As anybody knows that I think the most difficult job in home care is a scheduler. And she's done a phenomenal job. She works day and night, literally. I was at in the hospital with a client last night, and she's texting me at 3:00 in the morning, making sure that this, we got this one covered and that one covered, since as I told you earlier, we brought on 3 new clients yesterday. So, yeah, she just has worked nonstop. So it's been a learning curve for all of us. So Kaylin is our
days. I mean, heck, you do that every day. You're going to be a happy lady. Like,
yeah.
You doing 3 intakes today?
3 intakes. Yep. Usually start on Monday. Mondays are chaotic, and I keep telling people don't mess with the schedule. Let one person do the schedule, and I messed with the schedule and had somebody in 2 different places at the same time because I thought I knew in my head. So
one lesson you teach somebody: when you have a good scheduler, don't touch their schedule. I used to be a heck of a scheduler, and if someone touched my schedule,
I've done scheduling for years, and I have yelled at people because you can mess up so many lives by getting in there and messing with the schedule.
Oh, I know. It's the hardest job, and it takes a special somebody to do it. Not everybody can do it. Like, there's some people that'll say, like, what kind of training can we do? What kind of training can we do? And you can give them all these things, but at the end of the day, you have to just get it.
Yep.
Right? Like, there's an internal mindset that a scheduler has that you can't teach. Hustle, problem-solving ability, puzzle doing, all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
Well, I want to move on to the next one here. And, well, that couple of recaps. You liked our culture. We try to have a fun-loving culture. We work hard. We support. We're there for you. I see every single coach on here has commented, meaning they're not working, they're watching you. So I'm going to have to get off and talk to them about that. But no, I'm kidding. I want all to be a part
Hi,
y'all.
I've made a couple of them pull their hair out.
Oh, yeah. Well, Shane, I'm going to have you talk about Shane here in a little bit. He's your new coach.
He's my new coach.
Shane has, I think it's over 11 to 15 years of experience through a competing brand of ours that we strategically brought on to help with fast growing owners like yourself and other owners as well. Couple other things. The culture, strong. That's my job right now. I always like to say I got a great team of coaches. We got Danny, who you spoke about. We have Ashley in marketing. We have Mitch and Jared over the development side. My role here is really trying to drive the culture and keep it intact. We have over 60 territories now, and we've had our best development year ever. I think Mitch is on pace to do 18 or 19 deals this year, which is like double our best year. And I could be wrong. He can fact check and tell me in the comments if I got that wrong. But with that, it becomes for me, it becomes difficult to stay intact. So number 25, as you said, you're not a number. You're Colorado 25 to me. No, I'm kidding. You're Bambi.
And by the way, you had sent me several, and Jared as well. You guys, here you guys are the CEOs. You're the big mucky ducks, and you're sending me little texts. How's things going? And I would not have got that in the other ones. I would not have got that. So, and I know that you're talking to the coaches and feeling the frustrations that I bring to them. but yeah. So yeah, you're definitely it's the culture that we're talking about. It's the being involved and doing it for the right reason.
We appreciate it. And I have an internal rule to myself. You guys will always notice, like, if I'm calling you or talking to you, I'm always in my car. My car drive time is when I try to call like 2 or 3 owners. Every time I get in the car, I try to call them because that's just time. I don't have time to listen to music. Just going to call you, see how you're doing.
Yep.
So, and some people, like our coaches coach, and I love that. That's their job. My job is I want to talk to you and see how you're doing. Right. So it's a great job. I love it. Let's go on to question 2. All right, you hit a lot in your first year. You achieved about 400 to a little over 400,000 in revenue, which is above average, I would say, in the home care industry, but in our system too. What key strategies or actions helped you get off to such a strong start?
Well, one was not a positive thing. The state of Colorado, they have issues with trying to they don't have very many inspectors. And so one of the things that was a requirement for us to apply for licenses that we had to have a business basically set up and ready to go. We had to have all of our policies. We had to have insurances in place. We had to have rent. We had to have employees on staff. We basically, when they walk in the door, we're ready to go. They're going to give us, get us going and right there. But the problem is that you have to have that at the time of applying for licensure. They didn't come until almost 9 months later. So we were ready to go with no clients, oh my gosh, that was so stressful. I just kept seeing all the money just go out the window, and it's like, everybody's on a limited budget, no matter, where you're getting the money from. And so that was really stressful. But one thing that the state of Colorado does allow is they allow us to market during that time. So there was a benefit in that, a hidden benefit that, so we went to all the Alzheimer's walks. We went to anything that had senior attached to it. We had a booth, and we marketed ourselves that whole time. I was telling all my friends, I've been a nurse in this community for my entire career, so I have lots of friends. I was a CEO for the largest physician-owned primary care provider. So I had all these things, all these contacts that I had. So I was talking to people and going around and, doing the little bags of goodies and marketing. And so we had all that, but it felt very strange because we were so far out, and it's like, we're here. We're going to be great. We're going to do all this wonderful stuff. Not now. And just kind of holding off. And so it felt really uncomfortable. I didn't like it. But when we opened our door, we had, within, I think it was 2 weeks of opening our door. We also got involved in the Pueblo Chamber of Commerce. And within 2 weeks of opening our door, I had two 24/7s, a 70, and a 20. So I opened up my doors.
You're on fire.
Yeah. So the challenge with that was we waited. Of course, I couldn't hire too many people. I had one CNA that I had hired who didn't have a job. We were, we were trying to, do some things and, pay her for cleaning and stuff like that, just so that but she really didn't have a client. So, navigating that whole time, that was really stressful. And again, Danny and Aubrey just, really provided a lot of support, emotional support for me during that time. And then all of a sudden, then we had to hire, I think we hired 15, I can't remember now, 10 or 15 caregivers within 1 week. So because all of a sudden we had over 300 hours worth of visits to do. So we had a mass hiring, and I hired just about everybody I could possibly think of. I called in all my favors from my friends. So I brought a lot of people that I knew on, which was great. We still have several of those people that were on our original hire. And we hired, and we tried to, set the schedules up. And of course that didn't, work out perfectly. And so there was a lot of times being family owned. We are not, and especially our goal was to do better. And we were not going to let a shift go uncovered. So we covered shifts. We covered a lot of shifts. And so we were trying to run a business, trying to cover shifts, trying to make sure that every client, all the clients, of course, there was only 4 clients at the time, but make sure that all of their needs were taken care of. And one of my philosophies just in life in general is it's all about the relationship. So, and especially in the healthcare environment. So I spent a huge amount of times attending to those relationships, not just with the clients, but with the families as well, with the caregivers as well. And so that was just, it was interesting. Yeah. And working another job. working as a nurse as well. So, so that, we spent an awful lot of time doing that. But fortunately, my girls didn't complain about, when they had to cover a graveyard again and then come in the morning and make sure payroll got done. They didn't complain about that because they knew that this was their long-term goal as well. They were the ones that actually picked. So that was stressful.
Well, I bet. The thing is too, though, you can look back and say those that grind and do those kind of things, like do an overnight and wake up the next day and come in and then manage other people's care and schedule. I mean, we used to do that all the time.
Yep.
I mean, you've heard my story. Me and Jared were 28 years old and had zero experience in healthcare. Yeah. And the way we made up for that was hustle, right? And now we've created our story. And what you're doing is you're creating your story. Right? We're here to talk about it today. And your story, like 5 years from now, it's gonna be really cool to look back and see what you did. Right? You can share. It's great now. I can sit here. I'm the CEO. I sit in my office. I take no, I don't take days off, but but this is what I love about my job is I see these new owners in the first year, and I always tell you what your first year is what
it's hell.
Chaos. It's chaos. You're shifting. You're out. You think you have a perfect marketing day going, and then all of a sudden you get a client intake, and you're the only one who can do that intake. And then you're like jumping off that. You're going to do the client intake. You're canceling your marketing meetings, and then in your mind you're like, man, I'm gonna piss this referral source off because I just canceled on them. They're expecting, but I have to because I got to go sign this client. And then I sign the client. I don't even have a caregiver for this client. I'm gonna figure that out tomorrow. And all you're doing is it's a constant rigmarole.
Yeah. And 2 weeks ago, can we hold off on new admissions, Mom?
No,
we don't have a caregiver for that. We'll find.
The answer is no. You never say no. You just
never say no. Nope. And guess what? I've been covering some shifts. So because you need
to start tomorrow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What about the next day? But you're through year one of chaos, right? Now you're into year two and you got to organize, and you've kind of came into this spot where you're starting to see your growing pains, and we hit that growing pain, and we're working through some things. I know Shane and I have talked about it, but I want to hear it from you. So that going into number 3, every business journey has its challenges. After your initial year of success and chaos, right? What were some of the growing pains or obstacles you've encountered in this last 6 months that you're working with your coach right now, Shane, working through with him?
Yep. Well, and I have their permission to talk about this, but one of the things when you are a family-run business, and I think my first meeting with Shane, I just was kind of hitting the ceiling on this. But when you're a family-run business, family dynamics start coming in, and because I've always been a very involved mom, and I raising especially girls. I don't know. I only raise girls, so I can only have that to equate to. But you tend to take on everything. Plus, I'm a nurse, which is we just kind of have that codependent personalities anyway. But you just tend to take on everything, and so I felt like I was starting to. It was getting to the point where I was exhausted. And frustrated. And I felt like I was starting to step in front of the girls learning, because I'm trying to teach Kaylin how to run a business. And I've never had a single business course. And I'm from a different generation, so I don't know all this, computer stuff as much as what they do. And so many times I would like do this, just do this. And they'd look at me like, how do I do that? I didn't know. I just knew it had to be done. And I didn't have time because every client was calling me, every client, a family member was calling me. I wasn't getting, hard. I don't sleep much anyway, but it was just, there was something constant, I was always attending to. Plus still trying to be a mother, and I would see stress in them, and the mom thing would kick in, and I'd want to stop that. And so I would jump in, and it's like, let me do it.
Challenge.
And yeah. And so, cause I didn't want, and we've had outright verbal fights, which we're very tight family. But we've had a little bit of a screaming match. There was one time I kicked one of my daughters out of the building, and it was just getting that, I finally hit the ceiling, and it's like, I need help here. And Shane saw that immediately and said, hey, let's do this. Let me teach them that stuff.
Yeah.
You get out of the road and do what you do, but you get out of the road. And especially when I felt that there was almost I can't say, it was a feeling that, I'm doing all this and I'm doing it for you. Come to the table, get here faster. And, but yet I wasn't taking any time to train them or to learn it myself. And so Shane has stepped in, and he's saying, I'm going to grow these girls into leaders. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding. Oh my gosh. And in fact, I told him, I said, I could not pay enough tuition in college to get what you're going to get from Shane. So you better answer every phone call. You better, do every bit of homework that he's having you do. And they are thrilled because they wanted the same. They weren't getting it from me because I was just too busy with everything. Just trying to keep our head above water and attend to the things that I didn't like to do was the last thing that I did, which was attending to the business needs of the business. And you just can't let that stuff go. You just can't. But I like the personal part. I like dealing with the clients, and I like, being available and, developing the care plans and finding out what their needs are. I like that. That's me. That's what I've done forever. But tending to the business part is, and I need somebody else to do that, but yet I'm not giving the appropriate instructions on how to have that done. So they're also excited to get me out of the way. so I think
you remind me of me. Right? Like, delegation is one of my hardest. I've gotten really good at delegation, and you can ask Danny. Danny thinks now I'm an over delegator. The one thing I'm good at, the thing you got to become is the accountability tool, right? Mm-hmm. Let them do it. Use Shane to help coach it.
Yep.
Let them do it and execute it. And if they mess up, it's not like you're going to come down on them. People learn from mistakes, right? Yep. But you got to hold them accountable to it. Hey, listen, that was the wrong decision. Here's why. Yeah. Right. And I hope they learn from it. And I think that if you can get to that type of leadership with your family, and that's tough with family. I mean, me and Jared have been friends since 4th grade, and we've cleared the building before. I think 3 times. I can tell you all 3 of them probably. But, the thing about us is, it's kind of like a brother relationship where I'm going to say, hey, you're being a dickwad. And then we're going to get in an argument, and he's going to probably say the same thing back to me. And then we're going to walk away. But then the next day we come back, we look, and we just move on from it and keep on going.
Yep. Exactly.
Jared, look, right here, there he is. Look, see, comment. So, sometimes it's healthy as long as you don't let it ruin you.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And that's the biggest thing about family-ran businesses is you guys got to know when family comes and when business comes, right? And when
that's
business
hard.
comes, you're making decisions that are best for the business, and you have to remove the motherhood off of it, and that's going to be really hard for you.
It's very hard. I have adult children. I should not be mothering them. I have adult children, and they're doing excellent. And it's hard to, it's hard, especially when you have my personality. It's hard to stop.
Nurse personality was controlling. I know what it is. I know nurses. I've dealt with nurses for years. Loving and caring people, but you do what they say.
Yep.
So any other challenges other than that dynamic?
Well, and one of the things that I'm finding since I've kind of let the leash go a little bit is I'm making more mistakes. I was telling Shane about this. There's been a couple, just this last one with the schedule again. I did the cardinal sin. I put myself in, I stepped in the schedule and started calling people and saying, hey, we got a shift you need to cover, and okay, when they answer, when it's me calling, they're like, oh, whatever you want, I'm not the right person to do that, and I've had to apologize to a couple of clients because of something that I did that messed up everything else that was growing. So it's been a growth experience for me too, that, losing some of that control has made kind of open up my eyes on that maybe it's the person that I'm protecting most is me, because I can mess up too. And so, so I'm exercising, I'm trying to be very honest with people and say, I'm sorry, it was me 100%. Don't blame Acacia. Don't blame Kaylin. It was me. And don't blame whatever you do. Don't blame the caregiver. And I'll try and fix it, and I'll do better. So
the humbling moment, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, here we go. Let's see here. Number four. Now you've gone through your growing pains, and you're entering into another year coming up. Let's talk about the positives, right? As you're now in your second year and you're on pace to grow by 30%, which is good. We need to get it up to 50, Bambi. What have your proudest moments or biggest wins been thus far?
There's a couple of them. I thought about this question actually more than probably any of the other questions. Because there's been a couple of them. First of all, I'm very proud of my daughters and what they've accomplished, and to really see them to start really blossoming and becoming powerful women, and not just my kids. That's first and foremost. And watching their thought processes on how they would resolve a problem. I'm really proud of that. But that then is going back to being a mom. There was an article that was when we first opened up that was written about us and our story. In the Pueblo paper. And
you won the Nightingale Award, didn't you? Right?
What's that?
Didn't you win the Nightingale Award too in the same year?
I didn't win. I was nominated for the Nightingale last
year.
No, this year.
Or something you should be this year?
Yeah.
You should be proud of that. That's a big one.
That's a big one. That was that's a personal thing. As, when you're a nurse, you consider yourself, a parent, a spouse, and a nurse. That's your identity. That's kind of the way that it just, your identity is about your family first, obviously. If not, then there's something, you need to readjust, but family first. And then your identity as a nurse. And that's definitely so. To be nominated for a Nightingale for my peers was a big deal for me. It felt really, really good because, in fact, I cried when they told me I've been doing this for so long, and and you don't do it for the reward, but boy, when you get it, it just is really something. So, awesome. And it totally took me off guard. I had no idea, absolutely no idea that anybody was even thinking that term. So, the people that I worked with in hospice were the ones that nominated me. And, but there was an article that was written, getting back a little bit.
Right. I do
in regards to our story and our why and the business opening. And it was just a little article, but the reporter that wrote the article, I was on the phone with. She just interviewed me over the phone, and it was legitimately a 20-minute phone call, and she wrote this most beautiful, and it was just incredible. And it was just, I read it and I'm like, yeah, I said that, but man, it was just an incredible article. And to this day, I have people calling and saying, I've got this article that was in the Pueblo Chieftain. I've saved it. I put it in my drawer because I knew that when we needed it, you were going to be who we were calling. And so this 2 years later, and people still have that article saved in their desk drawer and use it as a reference. So all the marketing we did, a 20-minute conversation on the phone with the Pueblo Chieftain, has really helped out. And it was just, the article was just so beautifully written. It honored my dad. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you've accomplished a lot. That Nightingale Award is pretty cool. I didn't even know what that award was until I looked into it. And that's like did you have like a ball or a soiree or something? Like, wasn't it like you had to
you get there's 11 counties, so all of southern and eastern Colorado go under this one Secahek, what they call Secahek, and so there's there was about 15 nominees, and there's 4 categories, and then when you win, you're the luminary of a certain category. Mine was excellence in nursing. So, and I did not win, but I was,
you're a winner in mine.
I got a plaque.
So, hey, it's a bigger plaque than I got, which is nothing. Right. And a lot of people got it. There's a lot of nurses out there.
Yeah, so exactly.
You should be proud of yourself. You should be proud. Well, let's look at, tell me a little bit more. You had, in addition, you bought a building. Tell me a little bit about the entrepreneur expansion and buying. Now you own a building.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that process.
So, way back when the girls were young, one of the things that I did is it felt like somebody else was raising them because a nurse works all the time. So I thought I'd open up some child daycare centers. And so I did 3 of them. I opened up 3 different daycare centers, and I had them throughout the city of Pueblo. And I ran them until I didn't need childcare anymore. so I tend to fall into these things that, make the most sense for my life at the time. And I got to be around, when the girls were growing up, I got to be, much more involved by running these businesses. And I accumulated some properties during that time. I had some business arrangements with, so I sold the business, but I kept the properties. And so I had some business arrangements with the individuals who were purchasing I was selling the building to them. And in addition, we knew that we wanted, because the way that the state of Colorado does it, we got into a lease of the smallest building that we could get, most affordable. We did a 2-year lease. And so our lease was coming up, and I knew it. And I ended up calling the notes on some of those properties, plus having some of the inheritance. And we ended up finding an abandoned bank, Wells Fargo Bank, that had been on the market for about 5 years. And it was
gold bars. Sorry.
What's that?
Did you find any gold bars, any hidden treasures in there?
The only you'd be surprised, I did find a dime. That was the only
dime.
A dime, and there were safes everywhere. And I found 1 dime. So they did very good accounting up there.
Man, Wells Fargo strikes again.
They were off a dime.
Oh, no.
And we still have some. It's really cool because we have a vault and a bunch of safety deposit boxes. I think 130 safety deposit boxes that we're going to keep here. So, but we ended up with this building that is just a beautiful building. And we have all this area. There's 2 actually on the property. There's 2 buildings. one building we haven't decided what we're going to do, but the main bank, we've put a place at home in here. And then we thought, with all this extra room, we thought, well, we'll go ahead, and we only have one adult day program in Pueblo, and it is Medicaid only. It's a PACE program. So we thought, well, let's look at doing adult day program here. And so we thought that would fit very nicely with a place at home as well, because a lot of the, in fact, we've got a couple of our current clients who are very excited to have some, like a drop-in center for their individuals. So that's what we're doing, focusing on, especially with those with Alzheimer's and dementia. And so
that's awesome.
But that's going slow. We just moved in, and we've got a lot of hoops to jump through, a lot of business type stuff that we got to deal with. We're not doing much. We're not really doing any construction with the building, which is fortunate. But we got just some cleanup and stuff like that we're dealing with. So
nice.
But yeah, we're kind of excited about it.
So you own buildings. Yeah. You own buildings, you own a business, a family ran business with all your kids. You're a busy lady. I'm going to go to question 5, but I'm going to bring someone in here to help with question 5, which is the future. And that is your coach, Shane.
Okay.
There's Shane right here. What's up, Shane?
How's it going?
Shane, she talked a lot about you. You're helping her through her family problems, apparently.
He's a therapist.
Put on the compliment hat.
Well, we're going to go to question 5, but before I go into question 5, Shane, you've been with us for a couple months now and worked directly with Bambi. What do you got to say about Bambi, and since you worked with her? Isn't she great?
Yeah, she's wonderful. She's a true visionary of what she wants to create a legacy for her family, and has made an incredible footprint right there in Colorado. And so, especially in her backyard of South Colorado. I'm in Colorado today. Wish I was down there and with her team, but I'm here for a conference. But she's doing a fabulous job.
Thank you, Shane.
We sent Shane out to celebrate Danny's award. So Danny's in the air right now, flying out to meet Shane for the operation. Isn't it called the Operations Rockstar or something like that?
Yes,
Shane?
Operation Rockstar Award. Yep.
That was voted on by franchise. It was a voted on thing where all the franchisees got a survey and voted on her, and she got enough votes to be nominated. So that's an awesome thing. Enjoy it, Shane. Be careful out there in Denver. Feel free to stop by Bambi, even though I think that's like 2 hours south.
Yeah, sure.
All right, we have 13 minutes. Number 5, looking forward to this year. You just started with Shane. You guys are ironing some things out. So I'm personally expecting a big year for you. What are some of the goals you guys have discussed and areas you plan to focus on to continue growing and building this success so that you break $1 million and you get to $2 million in revenue by the end of 2025?
Well, Shane is going to help us with the pivot, and we're moving away from a Bambi run business to a family run business where the girls are going to be making much more of a foothold in it, and they're actually going to be part of the ownership, not just an employee. And Shane has got a whole plan for them, and they couldn't be more thrilled.
Awesome. Not to throw Shane on the spot here. He has a whole plan. I'm interested to hear what his plan.
He has homework.
It's an impromptu, by the way. He didn't even know he was coming on here. I just sent him a message, say, "Hey, hop on here." So, always keep it fresh. That's why you always got to be ready. You always got to be ready with me as your leader, but also for the place at home. Shane, what kind of plans do you got? What's your top 3 ideas for Bambi and her crew? We'll condense it down into 3 big hitters.
Well, one of the big things is Bambi's wearing so many hats as an owner, and she's got a wonderful team that we are now going to empower and just really cultivate the skill sets needed to run the business. Bambi's, with her skill set as a nurse, marketing, continuing to create that culture out there in the marketplace is vital. And then using her two daughters that are essentially doing everything else to empower them with decision making is one of the biggest things. It's not only Bambi from an ownership perspective, and when I was an owner, it's very easy to reach back and say, no, I need you to do it this way, or let's make corrections here and there. And one of the biggest challenges that Bambi's going to have to do is to release it and let that go and really trust the process. And so she's got two wonderful daughters that are working the internal aspects of the fundamentals of the business, and are going to do a wonderful job. There's some things that we're building with them to create that excitement, that leadership, to empower them to be not only great managers within the business, but to lead the business to another level.
Awesome. And if you were to say, I don't know if you guys have done your EOS meeting, but by end of 2025, if you were to say what your revenue goal is, what is it?
I know what it is.
I would say 1.5.
Shane, let's test. Let's test.
So what I've shared with her daughters is our goal is to be over $2 million. And I know that we can get to $2 million very easily. I believe that she can be at $2 million by the mid of next year with certain action plans put in place. And that's really with Bambi just wearing one hat, being out there not only just as an owner, but as a marketer, and her daughters essentially doing everything else to help ensure that the business trends forward. And I've seen this with a lot of owners. They get sucked right back into that business and the business starts to decline a little bit. I want to focus on each of their strengths, the ability to get out there and develop that. And I want to continue to keep Bambi in the front of the business, not only just owner, but she does a fabulous job marketing the business. And so I definitely know that we can be over $2 million by not even a year from now. So
awesome. I believe in Shane's vision there. And Bambi, now that that's a vision between the two of us here, you're just kind of forced because you're sandwiched in the middle of us anyways. Do you guys look like, is Shane on the right and me on the left, or is it like a Zoom meeting where it's like random? That's right. There you are. So if I look this way and Shane looks the other way, we say 2 million. We're whispering in your ear.
Right? The Brady Bunch. Here's the story of a lovely lady.
What was I gonna say here? Well, thank you, Shane, so much for joining here. I'll let you get back to your convention as I wrap it up with Bambi, but we got some big goals. Oh, I know what I was gonna say.
Thank you, Shane.
Thanks, Shane. He just jumped off. I wanted to hit the kickoff button, but he beat me to it. So here, the payer mix. You're VA credentialed, right? I know that. Are you on Medicaid too down there now?
I'm this close, literally.
So, yeah, I mean, just getting on that Medicaid in Colorado alone should get you to another level. So especially I mean, Pueblo is competitive, but it's not like a Denver competition type thing. That's not to say with Medicaid, just in general.
Yes.
I think that Pueblo is going to be a great market, and I would have no doubt we get to $2 million by 2025.
Yeah. One thing, we're new on the scene, and I think there's 6 other home care agencies here in this area, and we are in the top as far as notable. Who knows and who knows us, and you're run by a nurse, and so we are on the top. So we're proud of that. So
isn't that a great feeling when people come to you? Like, I don't ever forget it. I've met a lot of people when I was marketing and doing sales, and I'll never forget I was at a community or a post-acute rehab center that I had built a relationship with, and they would bring me in for those family meetings, right? When their loved ones at rehab waiting to go home. I would go up there and I would meet the family and the social worker that was their assigned social worker and discharge planner. And I'll never forget, I went in, I sat down at this big round table. There's like 5 family members and the social worker and me. And it's such a rewarding feeling. And you're going to know where I'm going with this. And the family depended on that. So this family had no idea who I was. I didn't even talk to them. I literally just showed up, had the information from the social worker. long story short, the family looks at the social worker and says, how are these guys? And you know what that social worker said, and I'll never forget it because I tell the story all the time. They're the best in town. And then that right there was like solidifying that, dang, I'm in a very competitive market. I have this social worker who's on my side, but it's because I valued what I did. And so many people think, like, you're a nurse, you have a leg up on a lot of people, right?
I agree.
I would never want to go into a family consult and say, I'm going up against Bambi Creek because you're going to dominate me on the nurse side. Where I'd give you a fight, though, is my promises. My promise to everybody who I took care of is that I'll be here for you and I'll make sure everything's done right. And I will never leave you hanging. And we focus on communication. Your schedule will be pristine. And am I going to have call outs? Absolutely, I'm going to have call outs. Or am I going to have a no call, no show? I hope not. But let's be honest, that's going to happen. But if it does happen, I will do everything in my power to make it right and not leave your loved one hanging. And that's how we grew our reputation. And it sounds like you're doing the same things by going to you don't want to get into a habit of going to shifts. I don't preach that. But I think you just went to a shift last night still.
Last night. I did an overnight last night. Yeah, I know.
Stop that. But anyways.
Everybody's been telling me you're too in the weeds. You're too in the weeds. I know. But that's what I like to do. So.
I know. You're a nurse first, right? Like, and so doing those things, like, that's what's going to make you who you are. You get so many people in home care who get into this for, I wouldn't say the wrong reasons. I mean, usually when you talk to people, not just at a place at home, we know everyone's why story, but even when you go out and meet any other home care agency, they usually have a reason why they want to do it. And so they're driven.
Right.
But how much do they want to actually go that extra mile? And that's what we try to preach here, I feel like. So. Yeah. Any closing thoughts, any closing advice to anyone looking at home care? Let's use this last 4 minutes. What's your biggest piece of advice to someone looking at a place at home or just the home care field in general?
Well, in my doctoral dissertation, the World Health Organization said that the incidence of I did it on Alzheimer's dementia. That the incidence of dementia is going to triple and will be crippling to the insurance in the healthcare organization or the healthcare industry by the year 2050. That's not very far away because we have the boomers. The boomers are here. They're not just coming. The boomers are here. And so by keeping people in their home, and this is the time to really hit this market now. We need good home care. We need competition. We need people who love what they do. And so, I did all my research. That's one good thing I'm good at is research. I did my research, and a place at home came to the top very quickly because of the people that you guys have put in on those key roles to really help support somebody like me, somebody like my family that really wants to do it for the right reason. So I think anybody who's interested in looking at a home care business, they need to talk to Mitch. They need to find out what a place at home can offer that is different from some of the other national brands. We're a national brand. It's not that we're small, growing tremendously. I mean, the number of new owners that have come on since I've been on a very short period of time is just tremendous. And I've really, I've gotten to talk to a lot of them and just incredibly impressed with them. And I just keep seeing the same stuff over and over and over that, this is a quality organization. And so, we really need to focus on looking to make sure that it's not a money's game. Being in business is important, but it's a have to in this economy, in the healthcare economy, because of what's coming on just with one diagnosis, Alzheimer's dementia. Just with that, we are going to be in a crisis. And so we need to do something more affordable, more humanistic.
Absolutely.
And having people age in place, do it in their own home. if that's what they choose to do.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that's a great closing and a segue into, I have another podcast in about 30 minutes that I'm hosting called Home Care Coach's Corner, where we're going to talk about how home care 12 years ago was a redheaded stepchild in the healthcare continuum. And today, based on what you're saying, and a lot of other people, government agencies that are starting to see home care as a value, we are starting to be considered a very necessity in the healthcare continuum. But how does home care, how do we fit? We're going to talk about in about 30 minutes, we're going to go live again. How do we fit? And how do our agencies have to do what do we have to do as agencies to be considered major players in the healthcare space? So I'm excited for that. In closing, really quick, that's in 30 minutes. You can join us on YouTube as well. But in closing, really quick, last time I ended, and I don't think you were watching, but I ended out by calling out the next spotlight, and I had to call you a day later and say, "Who?" I'm going to do it again. Are you ready? And we're going to call somebody out. Are you ready? We're going to meet with a franchise owner in the next couple weeks who's a little over a year, or close to a year, based out of Kansas City. His name's Brad Haig. You know Brad? Have you met Brad?
Yes, I have.
What do you like about Brad? Let's talk about him right now.
Well, you're putting me on the spot, but what I like about Brad is he's kind of he's not going to, it's not, he doesn't talk all about, the rosy part of things. He's right out there with, oh, my struggles are this and my struggles are that. And he really comes to the table and he really collaborates very well with the rest of the owners. That's one thing I didn't talk about is the owner collaboration with our strings. Really helpful.
Oh, yeah. We try to, like I said, our saying is everyone's bought into everybody's success. So, we want everyone to help. And Brad came from hospice too. I don't have a specific date, but it'll probably be in the next couple of weeks after I talk to Brad and inform him, unless he's watching right here, which he's not commenting. So I'm guessing he's not watching because he's probably doing something like scheduling or out marketing or doing sales, what we want you to do. So no harm, no foul. But now he just got put on the spot and he's going to get an email from me in about 2 minutes saying you just got spotlighted. So Bambi, thank you so much. Lovely interview. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything. And here's to $2 million in 2025. See ya.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.